The legends were real. The stories were wilder. And now it's time to talk about it. This is Wrestling Real Talk. And now your hosts, A.T. Huck and Rude Boy.
Welcome back once again, wrestling fans, to another edition of Wrestling Real Talk. I'm your host, Rude Boy Rudy Hill, along with my expert tag team partner, the one and only wrestling legend, Mr. A.T. Huck.
What's up? What's up? We're back for another great episode. Man, we got some stuff to talk about tonight, Rude Boy.
We got a lot to talk about, and we do want to remind you that tonight's episode is being brought to you by Taqueria El Rey in Southwest Detroit, 3400 Bagley, and that's the zip code is 48216. You know why I know that? Because I used to live right down there. But anyways, Taqueria El Rey, specializing in the best tacos and the best chicken, and my good friend
Rudy,
and my tag team partner may even vouch for
Rudy,
it.
yes. Just this past Sunday, had a whole grilled chicken. Man, it was so juicy. And the rice and the beans, and DBA had one too. We both had a whole chicken. And I ate just about the whole thing. Man, it was so good.
You know, and Danny and the crew over there, they know how to treat people. So I urge you, if you love Wrestling Real Talk, take your butt on over to 3400 Bagley at Taqueria El Rey, formerly El Zocalo, right there on the corner of Bagley and 3400. And once again, tell them Wrestling Real Talk sent you.
That's right.
Now, A.T. Hook,
yes.
Man. A lot of craziness going on in wrestling. As we're recording right now, this is WrestleMania week, so
That's
it's
right.
about to get crazy. It's about to go down, man.
It is. This Saturday and Sunday, WrestleMania from Las Vegas.
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday.
You're absolutely right about that. And the other shows that are being that are leading up to WrestleMania, especially the GCW Sabu's final match of all time,
right. What,
against Joey Janela. Yes.
That's right. That's coming up. What day is that?
That's Friday night.
This Friday night.
That's Friday, immediately following the Hall of Fame, WWE Hall of Fame induction ceremonies.
Well, I'm going to be at your place late.
Well, just bring a cover and
bring a cover.
you'll be fine. Anyways, but yeah, there's a lot of wrestling fans. This is the time to be a wrestling fan. And wrestling fans in the Detroit area, I have to tip my cap off to you because you came through Sunday at Taqueria El Rey, the new home of international big-time wrestling, with a sold-out, standing-room-only show. A.T. Huck, your thoughts on Sunday?
It was unbelievable. Like you said, standing room only. And the matches were off the chain.
They really were.
Very good matches. And the crowd, they were into everything. And everybody gave their all.
The crowd was hot. The people, they were just hype. I mean, and I got to tell you something. A tip of the cap to Carlito Hill, my son, who went out there night after night doing posters and flyering cars.
Yeah,
and
he promoted.
He busted his ass like a true promoter.
Got the word out.
And of course, him and Bobby Rocks, they put together bomb-ass commercials. And, of course, they designed all of our graphic arts. And so, man, it was just a collective deal. And what was cool is Carlito being the ring announcer.
That's right. That was his debut as ring announcer.
His debut, man.
Did a great job, man. He owned it.
And now he's official, man. Now he's official. He's the new voice of international big-time wrestling, and I couldn't be more proud, man. I mean, he went out there and did the damn thing.
That's awesome. He was all suited up.
Oh, yeah, and the crowd was hyped for him. They were
the
hyped.
new Lord Layton.
It was a great afternoon, and once again, we'd like to thank Danny and the crew over there for having us there at their fine establishment. And what a great place for wrestling.
Yeah, and drinks. I had 3 margaritas.
You had 3 margaritas,
Had 3
and
margaritas, a whole
DBA
chicken.
had a shot of tequila.
He did. He
For the
did.
first time since
'92.
1992,
His
ladies
first
and
shot
gentlemen.
of tequila.
I'm going on almost 300 days of being alcohol free. So
Good for you, man. I'm glad.
You know, I'm trying. You know, I'm trying. I want to stick around. I want to be here. I want to see my grandkids do it and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But back to wrestling and the state of wrestling. You couldn't ask for anything better, even on the independent scene. On the independent scene,
It's been a real resurgence of independent wrestling all over the country.
absolutely
You just see flyers of, and not bootleg either.
right.
Look like they're doing a really good job with production and lights. And
Oh yeah,
entrances and vignettes and man, and having fun too, and a lot of good workers too.
a lot of good
A lot of
workers.
good workers.
You know, I want to shout out a particular match from Sunday, if you don't mind. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, today's topic: your four tag teams on your Mount Rushmore of the last 50 years in wrestling. Me and Huck are going to tell you ours coming up later on in the show. But right now, I do want to talk about one of the matches that I thought personally stole the show was our International Big Time Wrestling World's Heavyweight Champion, Little Fred and Anthony Steve Rivera, the hot stuff. And they tore it up.
They did. And Rivera deserved that title shot.
He really did.
Rivera's been around a long time, close to 30 years, I'd say. He's a 30-year veteran, and he's done it all. Part of the Threat.
Yes,
With
absolutely.
Truth
With
Martini, AJ Styles.
CM Punk.
And, I don't think CM Punk was in the Threat, but Amazing Nate.
Amazing Nate.
They were the Threat.
Okay.
And Briar Wellington.
Briar Wellington, yes.
Right. So he's been around a long time. So him having a shot against the heavyweight champion was well deserved.
And they went. They really did,
They really
and
did.
told a nice story. And the fans, one of the, as being one of the owners of International Big Time Wrestling and promoter, one of the coolest things is to look out in the crowd and just see the smiling faces. That's really the big payoff at the end of the day for me.
Yeah, I know that's a good feeling. I remember my promoting days, and it's good after a show and people coming up to you and thanking you.
But Huck, they should thank you, man, because you booked a hell of a show this first time around.
Yeah.
And now we have a big event coming up on May the 3rd.
May the 3rd.
Back in Southwest
The Batch,
Detroit.
right?
This time in Corktown.
Right, at the Batch Brewery.
Yes. And that is a part
Did I
of
say that right?
Derby
Did I?
de Mayo.
Exactly.
Derby de Mayo is the Kentucky Derby / Cinco de Mayo party that they have, and it's absolutely free. You definitely want to make sure you get out there.
A nice outdoor setting.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Beautiful.
beautiful.
I've been there before.
Oh, yeah. Nice stages. And I'll tell you, man, a really cool place to hang out.
Yes. I'll be there.
Yes. And once again, where's that at?
At the Batch Brewery.
Yes, and that's on Porter and Trumbull right there in Southwest Detroit. Hey, and guess what? The admission is absolutely free. So you know what that means.
That's the amount I like, free.
So you know what that means. There's going to be a few thousand people there for International Big Time Wrestling.
That's right.
So check this out. So I'm thinking about all the tag team matches. And first off, I want to shout out the New Day. The New Day yesterday, I watched them, and they cut a promo that I was just blown away. Now, I'm not really familiar with the tag team that they're wrestling at WrestleMania because I really don't follow those guys. But, however, the New Day cut a promo, which was it was the shit. It truly was, man.
Okay.
And I'm glad to see that they're still around and they're
Yeah,
still
man, they've been
getting
around
love.
a long time now.
Absolutely.
Been through so many different phases of how they're portrayed on television.
Absolutely, yes.
I think they started out as heels, right?
They did.
Yeah.
They started out as heels,
Right.
and they were a trio.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of
With
course,
Big
Biggie got hurt.
Mhm.
And,
But at first, it took a little bit for them to catch on.
oh, yeah, but then all of a
But then
sudden
all
they
of a
were
sudden,
everywhere.
Yeah,
With
Elijah,
the bootios,
Yeah,
Cereal,
right.
and,
You know?
I was like, man, they were on
Throwing
another level with their
pancakes.
shit, right?
Just absurd stuff.
Right,
Coming out with
right.
unicorns on their heads.
What about the trombone?
The
He comes out
trombone.
playing the trombone, New Day songs.
Right.
Burr, burr.
Now we have this version of the New Day that's a little more stoic.
Yes.
They're more about business.
They really are. They really
They're about
are.
business. They're about winning now.
Well, they've
it's
matured.
the other antics aren't there like it used to be.
They've matured,
Yeah,
and
definitely
they've come into
changed.
their own,
Mhm.
And I'm predicting new tag team champions.
There's no more pandering to the
WrestleMania.
fans with the New Day.
No,
They
absolutely.
don't pander to the fans anymore.
They don't need to.
So this is a different day. This is a new day.
Yes. Well, now, speaking of tag teams, so we're going to go to our Mount Rushmore of tag teams. Now, Huck, you off the air said how much you hate these Mount Rushmores.
Yeah, man.
Tell us
because
why.
There's not enough heads on Mount Rushmore for me.
Okay.
Just for me to pick out 4 and say that's it. Sometimes it's hard.
Right.
I need more heads on the mountain. So to
Okay.
speak.
Well, now that the crybaby shit's over,
Yeah.
what's your first? What's your first entry?
Man, he sucked. Tag teams, and mine it won't be any particular order.
Okay, so
But
yeah,
I
just
think
give us your
one
first
of the
one.
greatest tag teams of all time has to be the Rock and Roll Express.
Absolutely, yes.
Ricky and Robert, man, without a doubt. They
In the
set
past
stage,
40 years.
Yes, they set the stage for everybody after that. The way they wrestled,
It's true.
they were smaller guys, even though they're big for now.
Yes,
But then they were the small guys.
they were the small
But they were
guys,
doing the
yes.
drop kicks and
Yes.
the arm drags. And
With legendary
Yes,
matches. I
yes.
mean, on scaffolds. and-
yes.
I mean, these guys,
Scaffold
everywhere they
matches.
went, they won gold too.
Mhm.
I mean, they went everywhere from NWA, of course.
Right.
They went over to Memphis. They went to Dallas. Of course, they made it all the way up to ECW.
They did.
And I'll tell you what, those guys, Smoky Mountain.
I mean, they went head to head with the Road Warriors.
Yes.
Ivan and Nikita Koloff.
Some of the great feuds with the
Arn and
Koloffs.
Tully.
Oh, yes. The Midnight Express.
The Midnight Express.
My-
Both versions.
Both versions is right. You're absolutely right about
Oh,
that.
yeah. So I'd have to say the Rock and Roll Express would have to be on my Mount Rushmore. Ricky Morton, got to know him a little bit better than Robert. But great guy, man. Just talks.
Yeah.
I got to ride with him here when he was working for Midwest Territorial Wrestling.
Okay,
Me
yeah.
and Steve Nixon, we rolled around with the Rock and Roll Express.
Nice.
So we went into the gas station and he pretended to be Rod Stewart because she knew he was somebody and he just said Rod Stewart
Yeah, well, nobody walks around with a haircut like that.
like
and-
that,
you know.
Still had the mullet and everything.
Right.
But
That's
he,
great.
But he was really cool, man.
That's great.
But
It's good to see
yes.
they're still healthy and they're still around too.
Yeah,
you know?
still making appearances. I always see, at least Ricky Morton.
Oh yeah,
you
and
know, a
he's
lot more
working
than
a whole
Robert.
lot
Yeah,
with his son.
with his son.
Yeah,
Right,
they're-
his
they're
son,
with
that's right,
JCW.
That's right.
Yeah. Proud to say that they're on Legacy. You can check them out over on YouTube right now. JCW, shout them out. Let them know that Wrestling Real Talk sent you to check them out. Now,
So tell me what's yours.
okay, well, just like yourself, sir,
Not in any order.
mine is not in any particular order.
Right.
However, this rendition is a particular order. It is the one and only Dennis Condrey and beautiful Bobby Eaton, collectively known as the Midnight Express, along with the Mr. Great One, James E. Cornette.
Oh,
Would you
for
agree
sure.
with
Yes.
that?
Oh, yes, I agree with that, man. The Midnight Express, they were the rivals to the Rock and Roll Express.
Yes, sir.
Perfect rivals.
Yes, sir.
But before that happened, the Midnight Express, they were in Mid-South Wrestling, too, for Bill Watts.
It's true.
They traveled around, I think, even briefly in World Class, maybe.
They were in world class, and they, of course, they did their stint in Memphis. And they made it all the way up to the AWA.
That's right.
And of course, and then with Jim Cornette, there were a couple different renditions of the tag team, but those two will always be my
the
favorite.
ones that stand out that you remember the
the
most.
ones that I remember the most, and the ones that I enjoyed watching on Saturday nights.
Of course, Sweet Stan Lane came along.
He was great.
And you remember that version.
He was great.
Of the
Oh, yeah.
Midnight Express
But do you
as well.
remember Randy Rhoads?
Oh, yes, Randy Rhoads. I do. Him with Dennis Condrey.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know,
yes,
they
sir.
called themselves the original Midnight Express. Came in with Paulie Dangerously.
Right.
Into
that's
Georgia
true.
Championship or World Championship
World
Wrestling.
Championship Wrestling,
And
yes.
Paulie hit Cornette with the phone, and Cornette was all busted open. And suits all bloody, And that was the debut of the original Midnight Express with Paulie Dangerously.
Shout out to Jim Cornette. Shout out to the Midnight Express. Wow, what a great tag team. Hey, we do want to remind you that another sponsor of ours right here on Throwdown Theater is not. I fucked that up.
Just keep going, brother.
I am going to keep going because you want to know why? Because this part of Wrestling Real Talk is being sponsored by the great Throwdown Theater. That's right, the place where you can get your collectible cards absolutely free. That's right. You can find out where we'll be giving away these cards. They are highly collectible. Once the batches are gone, they're gone for good. So you want to make sure that you get your collection all in order of Wrestling Real Talk sponsor, Throwdown Theater trading cards, which is also a collective idea.
They're great cards, man.
Oh,
I
man.
mean, what, Terry Funk,
Terry,
the Sheik, Bobo Brazil,
Pampero Firpo, your favorite.
Firpo, oh yeah,
that's right.
I love some Pampero Firpo, man.
And
the eighth wonder of the world.
You can only imagine the cards that could be.
Oh man,
coming.
We have a long list.
Long
list,
man.
Or and not just from big time wrestling, but people you will know.
Absolutely. So make sure you check out Throwdown Theater over at YouTube. Check them out and then Google Throwdown Theater. Check out the catalog where you can get your awesome T-shirts. I seen people sporting the shirts the other day at the wrestling show. It was really cool, man. They look great. They're high quality shirts.
And I always tell them to what?
Like, share, and subscribe. Damn it. You gots to do it. All right. Now, back to the great
tag teams.
4 tag teams.
Okay. So here's one.
Okay.
These two, they've been all over. I first saw them in Detroit. Then again, I saw them when I went to college in Atlanta. Then I saw clips of them from Mid-South Wrestling. And then I saw them in the WWF. And I was like, man, these guys have been all over the place. And this is Alpha and Sika, the Wild Samoans.
Yes, man, yes. They
weren't
were here in
expecting
Detroit.
that,
They were
right?
the Islanders.
But it was the same two brothers.
It was
still Alpha and Sika.
It was Alpha and Sika. And I wasn't expecting that, by the way.
Right.
I was not. I was thrown off by that choice. But highly recommend that choice because those two guys.
They're part of the bloodline.
Oh, brother. And
they are the bloodline. They're their sons.
And everywhere they went.
Roman Reigns and their
everywhere
sons.
they went, they drew money. And they had hot feuds
everywhere.
And by the way, actually great technical wrestlers.
They were very good.
Yes.
You know, even though they stuck to more of a gimmick,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being wild and crazy, because they never talked on television.
Right.
They had
right.
Captain Lou Albano as
Right.
their mouthpiece.
I
You
like
know,
when they
unlike
brought in Samu.
Samu came in
Yeah,
later.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, but I like the Wild Samoans. I saw them in Georgia Championship Wrestling.
I
And I was
love
like,
them.
man, I saw them in Detroit.
Absolutely.
And they helped get me back into wrestling.
All
Because
right.
there was a period where I wasn't watching that much.
Right.
But
right,
when I
right.
went to Georgia and I saw wrestlers that I had seen in Detroit
Yeah.
on Georgia Championship, and I was like, wow, this is cool. George Animal Steel is on there.
Uh-huh.
The Samoans and Harley Race.
Uh-huh.
I was like, this is pretty cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that brings me to one of my tag teams that will be going on my Mount Rushmore. Now, a lot of people may never have heard of these guys, but here in the Detroit area, these guys were well known and most hated, by the way. They were the original international freedom fighters, Mohammed Jihad Saad, and your colleague on the mics for International Big Time Wrestling, Chris Carter.
Chris Carter and Mohammed Jihad Saad, WWA World Tag Team Champions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Bruiser Bedlam, you know, and it started out with Chris Carter and Dr. Jerry Graham Jr.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So there was a lot of history going on there, and I remember, you know, it switched back and forth.
And for a
good
long
guy,
time,
who was the bad guy?
Yes, because for
Yeah.
a long time, Mohammed Saad was a babyface.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
you know,
but that period when he was Mohammed Jihad Saad,
right,
now he was considered a bad guy.
right. He was the terrorist.
Right,
He was the scary
right.
guy. But let me tell you something. Knowing both men very well and respecting what they did in wrestling, and actually being able to be a part of the International Freedom Fighters as a tag team partner with Chris Carter,
Yes.
I was most proud of. Both guys are amazing guys. I miss Jihad every day. Rest in peace, my good friend. And Chris Carter, man, he's always a ray of light, no matter what. You know, he never has nothing bad to say, and I like that about him.
Oh, he's a great guy, man. I love Chris Carter,
Absolutely, and
as we call him, Jack.
so like I said, they a lot of people may not know them, but I urge you, wrestling fans, if you love professional wrestling, then check out the International Freedom Fighters on YouTube.
But you know what? I'm gonna have to, you know, go off rails a little bit. This is Wrestling Real Talk, and
Let's
we're talking
go.
about Chris Carter.
Let's
Chris
go.
Carter was not always a nice guy.
Not to you.
You know, no, he was a dick back then. But later on, we got to know each other, and now we're like best buddies.
Well,
but
you
back
know-
in the day, man, he used to get on my nerves.
Well, he got on a lot of people's nerves,
Mhm.
and I like to, you know, like I've known Chris Carter for going on almost 40 years now.
Yes, longer than me for sure.
And I watched him be that dick you talk about, and also be this loving human being
Yes,
that I know now.
that you know now. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Now he'll send me a text just out of the blue,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
we'll text back and forth.
Right.
You
Right.
know, but whenever I see him now, it's big hugs and
Absolutely.
big smile, and he seems just so content.
Absolutely. The wrestling fans, like I said, check out International Freedom Fighters, WWA, Bruiser Bedlam TV on YouTube. Check them out, and I guarantee you'll love it. I promise you will. Now, Huck, your tag team.
I'm going back in time, man,
Uh-oh.
because I love the wrestlers.
You know this is your
now.
third, right?
Yes, I know it's third.
Okay.
You know, and
I know
trying
you
to
had
keep
one
it
of them
current.
jazz
I'm not-
cigarettes, so I know you're.
I did. But for me, as coming up in wrestling and watching wrestling, I hold those guys up so high. So this tag team that I loved, and they were tough as leather, brawlers, one from Reno, Nevada, and the other from, where was the Crusher from?
Oh, he was
was
from
the Crusher?
Milwaukee,
From
Wisconsin,
Milwaukee.
man.
Yeah, the man who made Milwaukee famous, the Crusher.
That's
So
right.
the Bruiser and the Crusher.
Oh my God,
Dick
what a
the Bruiser
great
and the
tag
Crusher,
team,
man.
man.
Man, they held
Hey,
the WWA title numerous times, the AWA World Tag Team title.
Do you
Feuded
know?
with Nick Bockwinkel and Ray Stevens.
Do you know in downtown Milwaukee there's an
The
actual
statue of the
Crusher with the keg of beer he's holding?
Right,
man.
right.
That's great. That's so great.
Always had cigars in their mouths.
Uh-huh.
You know,
yep.
just brawl. Just
Tough son of a
brawl.
guns, man.
Man, I saw a match with Ernie Ladd and Dick the Bruiser. Man, Ernie Ladd was just beating the crap out of Bruiser. Bruiser's front tooth was hanging out. He's just busted open. But then Dick the Bruiser, at some point in the match, he would hulk up. Hulk Hogan got hulking up from Dick the Bruiser.
Yeah?
Yeah, Ernie Ladd, you just start pounding on him, and he would just all of a sudden just stop selling.
Oh,
You know,
what?
and just whip the crap out of Ernie Ladd. Have Ernie Ladd by his afro, just punching him. It was great, but Bruiser looked like he was hit by a train.
Wow.
Just bloody.
Man, wow.
But he waited and then made that huge comeback. It was awesome, man.
Dick the Bruiser.
Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher.
What a great tag team. What a great tag team. Now, I'm going to bring you to my third installment. And my third installment, I have a gut feeling that you may even have as your number one tag team. And they are from Bad Street, USA. They are from Atlanta, Georgia. They are from the streets, baby. Of course, I'm talking about Buddy Jack Roberts, the Bam Bam Terry Gordy, and P.S. Michael Hayes, the fabulous Freebirds.
The fabulous Freebirds. Man, the first time I saw the fabulous Freebirds was in Atlanta, 1980. And they made their debut on Georgia Championship Wrestling with Gordon Soley.
Okay.
Man, I'd never heard of them before.
Right.
And they just automatically came right on the scene and boom. They were the biggest thing on TV.
Wow,
as far as tag teams.
Man, I'm telling you, the first time I seen them on World Class Championship Wrestling. We just had ESPN. My dad finally broke down and got us cable. You know, it was after my mom did a bunch of bitching because she wanted to watch her TV programs and stuff. Finally, he gave in. And, you know, my dad was, you know, he was typical Mexican. He was cheap, you know. But that's okay. That's all right. But anyway, so him and I were flipping through the channels, and there's ESPN with World Class Championship.
Mm-hmm.
And I seen these guys, and I'm like, wow, look at. They had the Confederate robes on.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You know, back then, no one was offended by that.
Yeah, that was like their second phase. They first they weren't representing Dixie.
Georgia and stuff, yeah.
They didn't have that on their gear. It was just like yellow and green and, you know, a vest.
Right.
But then later they did get the Confederate stuff.
Right. And then they went through that phase to the Bad Street phase.
Right,
where they're
just
in the
like
jeans
rockers,
and,
you know.
Yeah, you know. And,
With
and for
Jimmy Garvin.
And for those of you who haven't seen the Bad Street USA music video, I urge you, do it.
The song itself is just legendary.
It rocks, man. Bad Street, Atlanta, GA.
Every time it
Bad
comes
Street
on, I got to move. Every time it comes on.
You have to.
You have to.
It's one of the great ones. Now, A.T. Huck, go ahead.
I'm kind of torn on a few. And like I said, I got to stay back during a certain period for me, even though I love all the guys now.
Mm-hmm.
And Bobby Rocks is over here staring at me, throwing up fingers for me to count, giving me a hint on who he thinks it should be.
The Four Horsemen?
I think that's what he was saying, but I'm going to go with the Road Warriors, man.
The Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk,
I gotta go with
man.
Animal
They're
and
legends.
Hawk. You know, because the Horsemen, they were great, but the Road Warriors, they had the longevity.
Yes.
As a tag team. And they changed the game. Two big guys like that.
Yes.
That just bum rushed everything. They were like Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher, but different.
Yes.
You know, Bruiser and Crusher were like beer-barreled drinkers.
Right.
These were these big muscle-bound road warrior-looking bikers.
Right.
Before the bell even rings, just bum rushing, destroying people. You know?
Man, I'll tell you what, I have great memories of the Road Warriors. I was JCW World Champion, and there was a wrestling promoter in Sacramento, California. His name was Juggalo Jim Cooley. And he flew myself and Sabu in for a show, and the Road Warriors happened to be on it.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, listen, guys, after the show, we have to go to this topless bar and drink beer for free for the next couple hours as a, that was the deal for the sponsorship. I was like, drink beer for free? I think I could do that. I've done it once or twice. Well, anyways, so we're in there, and me and Huck, we immediately start clowning.
Okay.
And we're
I thought you
clowning.
were going to say clashing.
No,
Okay.
we're clowning everybody. We're just people watching and laughing and clowning.
Mm-hmm.
And he's telling the chicks on stage, "What are you, 8 months pregnant?" I'm like, "Oh my God, bro, what are you doing?"
No. Shaming them.
Right. And then, okay, so then he got really shit-faced drunk. I mean, really.
Hulk.
Yes. And Animal got pissed and left. And he was like, "Oh, fuck him. Let him go." And I was like, "Hey, I don't care. I'm hanging with you, homie."
Mm-hmm.
And Sabu at that time was Sabu'd out. So
Yeah, he's out somewhere.
yeah.
Right.
You knew Sabu was Sabu'd out. But anyways, so we're with the promoter, Juggalo Jim Cooley. Shout out to you out there. I'm sure you're still somewhere in this world, brother, and I truly miss you. Anyways, so Anna or Hawk, after the bar closes, he's shit-faced drunk. And he says, "All right, let's go get something to eat." And I said, "All right, now I could get down with that, 3 o'clock in the morning, in Sacramento, California. There's only one thing open, Jack in the Box. Okay, I love it. Cool, man, because they got the best egg rolls in the whole
Jack
universe. In the whole universe,
Jack in the
Huck.
Box?
I swear to you. And guess what else I'm going to tell you that they have bomb-ass? Tacos.
Tacos.
Bro.
Jack in the Box. Tacos.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anyways, okay, so we're in the line, and the line is long in the drive-through because it's closed inside. And Hawk is in the front seat with the promoter, and he's laying on the horn.
Oh, I remember you telling me
as
this.
we're in line. Yeah. He's just laying on the horn. So the car in front of us finally gets up to the speaker, and Hawk is just laying on the horn, so how could he leave his fucking order? Right. So the guy says something to Hawk, and Hawk looks, and he says, "Okay, I'll be quiet." And I'm like, "Oh shit, man, that little Mexican dude told you that, man? And you just listened?" And he was like, "I'll be quiet." And then he told the promoter to fuck out of the chair. And he got behind the wheel, and he started pushing this guy's car with his promoter's car. Bro, he jumped out of the car, started saying a few racial words to this Mexican brother.
Okay.
This Mexican brother. I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know it was like that." Shit.
Now you're worried, huh?
Right now, yeah, I'm like, shit. And then, so anyways,
wow, he was being a dick.
he was wilding, man. I'm telling you, he was wilding. But I couldn't help but to laugh, man, to think that this is Road Warrior fucking Hawk. And here's this guy talking mad shit, and all of a sudden here comes Road Warrior Hawk out of the
He's
car.
probably like, what the
Right,
fuck?
right. So that was a crazy story.
That's
but
crazy, man.
man,
I got a Road Warrior Hawk story, too.
Tell me a Road Warrior Hawk story.
He was here working for MTW.
Gary Warrencheck and Chris
Gary Warrencheck.
Carter.
Midwest Territorial.
Yes.
Right. After the show, he needed a ride, of course. So me and Steve Nixon, I think we took him. Did we take him to? Yeah, we took him to his hotel. We went to eat first, then we took him to his hotel. But he had his spikes, the red and black ones, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted me to take them. He didn't want them in the hotel room or in the car or whatever. So he told me to take him home.
What?
So I was like, damn, okay, I'll take him home. But I didn't want to leave him in my trunk, so I took him in the house.
You was taking pictures and shit?
Not really.
Oh!
I should have. But I put him on. And Esther was in the bed.
No, she wasn't.
And I climbed up on the bed and flicked the light on, and I'm standing over.
Black Mandingo was standing
Black
over.
Mandingo with Road Warrior Huck.
Oh my God.
With the spikes on.
Oh my God. Oh my God, Huck. Oh, that is too funny.
But then the next day, the neighbors' kids were all around, and I showed them the spikes.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
that was cool. After I dirtied them up.
I hope you cleaned them.
After I dirtied them up.
Right. I was about to say, I hope you cleaned them, fool.
True story, y'all. Yep.
Okay, can I tell you my Mount Rushmore?
Go ahead.
Final. It was the first time that I ever seen tag team wrestling. It was 1976 at Cobo.
76.
And it was a tag team from Australia.
Ah.
And one was from Indianapolis, and his name was Bulldog Don Kent. And his tag team partner, Al Costello, collectively known as the Fabulous Kangaroos. They will forever be my Kangaroos, just like I said with the Midnight Express. And I like to think that those guys were maybe the most successful of the Kangaroos.
I think so. In recent memory, I would say, because Al Costello did have another partner, Bob Heffernan.
Yeah.
Before Bulldog Don Kent.
Yeah.
But they wrestled in the late 50s into the 60s.
Okay.
And then Bob Smith.
Okay.
Became Don Kent.
Okay.
And teamed with Al Costello.
Which Joe Smith was his
Joe
real
Smith.
name.
Joe
yeah,
Smith. Joe Smith.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
I saw, man, a hell of a feud. Probably the biggest feud, I would say, in Cobo's history, tag team feud, would have to be the Fabulous Kangaroos against Ben Justice and the Stompers.
Oh, my goodness, yes, man. My dad would lose his mind.
That was Detroit's Freebirds and Von Erich feud.
Amazing, and it would pack the house.
Yes.
If you knew
told a story, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a nice, long story, too. And so you were excited when you seen.
You can't forget their manager, Crybaby George Cannon.
George Cannon, of course, one of the great wrestling managers. Besides that, one of the great promoters.
He ran all over Canada, Newfoundland.
Oh yes, man.
Superstars of Wrestling.
Oh man,
which later
of Wrestling.
the WWE acquired the name.
They did.
From him to start Superstars of Wrestling.
Right, but you know what? I was such a mark. Are you listening to this?
I'm listening.
I was such a mark for George Cannon and Superstars of Wrestling. Are you listening to this? I can tell you. Box 3287, Tecumseh, Ontario. N8N2M4 is the address to fucking George Cannon.
You remember that?
Yes, sir.
And it was funny, on the TV show, he would replay that about 5 times.
Yes. And I would
I can see how you could memorize that. Just rerun it. You know?
It's in my psyche for the rest of my life. But I'll tell you what, one of my highlights of my career, and it was even before I really even got into the wrestling game. I was training actually with Al Costello.
I remember that.
And we were at the Book Building in downtown Detroit, and he asked me, he said, "Do you want to be our flag bearer for me and Kent Friday at WrestleRama in Garden City or something?" What do I want to what? Of course I want to, you know. And he was like, "You're not going to get touched," and blah, blah, blah. You know, he gave me the lowdown. You're not ready. But I'll give you that, and you'll put the gear on. And, man, it was so cool. My friend Craig Durbin.
I remember
Shout out to Craig.
Durbin. Yeah.
Shout out to Craig Durbin out there listening to us. And
that's where I got most of my body presses was from Craig Durbin.
No way. No way. Small world, man.
Yes. You introduced me to him.
I know I did. Yeah, that was back when
we
did Azteca Hall.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if I may say this, Azteca Hall's in a resurgence.
That's
They
what you
are
said, remodeling.
remodeling. I couldn't even believe it driving past. It's like, what? Are you kidding me?
Wouldn't that
man?
be amazing to run a show there?
Man, I was telling Carlito the exact same thing. Now, wrestling
But anyway,
fans,
back to where we were talking about the Kangaroos.
Right.
And the Kangaroos were, like we said, they were probably the biggest heel team in Detroit's history.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and different versions. Mickey Doyle was a kangaroo.
Mickey Doyle.
Al Snow was a kangaroo.
Denny Cass.
Christopher Daniels was a
Yes.
kangaroo.
Yes, it's true.
All under the guise of Al. Well, Denny Cass took over after Al Costello
Mhm.
passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So he had different tag team partners and carried on the kangaroo name.
Right, right. And it's a name that should be carried on in professional wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for hanging out with us today right here on Wrestling Real Talk. If you have a question, comment, and or concern, drop it right down there in the comment section, or do this. Go to, what is it, Bobby? mywrestlingquestion@gmail.com. mywrestlingquestion@gmail.com. Leave that question, comment, and or concern. And until next week, where we will be giving you the lowdown on the greatest heels in all of wrestling.
Uh-oh, I got a whole week to get ready.
So check this out. We'll see you next time right here on Wrestling Real Talk. Don't forget, we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. Peace and love from God above.